If the enemy can infiltrate your thoughts, he doesn't need to touch your faith, because he knows once your mind is compromised, your faith will eventually follow. Most people think the devil comes at your finances, your relationships, your health. But before all that, he comes quietly, subtly, whispering lies to your mind. And if you don't catch those thoughts early, they begin to plant roots. You start doubting what God said, not because God changed his promise, but because the enemy changed how you think about that promise. He knows the battlefield is in the mind, because your thoughts become beliefs, and your beliefs shape your reality. If he can convince you that you're unworthy, unloved, forgotten, he's already won half the battle. Think about it. Eve wasn't attacked with a sword. She was attacked with an idea. Did God really say? The serpent didn't need to chain her body, he just needed to twist a thought. And from that moment on, her perception shifted. That's exactly what happens when we entertain toxic thoughts. We lose sight of truth, and faith starts to decay, not all at once, but slowly, almost invisibly. You stop praying, not because you stopped loving God, but because the thought crept in that he's not really listening. You stop dreaming, not because God has no purpose for you, but because you believed a lie that you're not good enough. That's how the devil works. He doesn't need to take your calling, he just needs you to believe you don't have one. He doesn't need to take your joy, he just needs you to believe you're supposed to be miserable. And what's terrifying is that many of us walk around thinking it's just our own thoughts, never realizing we're entertaining suggestions from hell itself. But you need to know this. Not every thought is yours. Not every inner voice is your conscience. Some thoughts are fiery darts sent to disable your purpose and distract you from your assignment. That's why Scripture says, take every thought captive to make it obedient to Christ. Because if you don't take the thought captive, the thought will take you captive. The enemy can't control your future, but he'll do everything to cloud your focus. Because when your mind is in chaos, your spirit can't hear clearly. And when you can't hear God clearly, you'll start looking for comfort in counterfeit things. Addictions, toxic relationships, distractions masked as opportunities. All because you didn't recognize the first attack, a thought that slipped through your defenses. And let me tell you something. This is why the most spiritually gifted, anointed, and chosen people often suffer the most mental warfare. The devil doesn't waste bullets. He aims for those who are dangerous to his kingdom. So if your mind feels under attack, maybe it's not because you're weak, but because you're valuable. He fears your focus, your clarity, your fire. That's why he throws confusion, anxiety, depression, overthinking, anything to keep you spinning in circles while your calling sits on pause. But here's the good news. You are not defenseless. You have the mind of Christ. You have spiritual authority, but you must become a gatekeeper over your mind. Just like you wouldn't let a thief walk into your house and live there rent-free, stop letting poisonous thoughts take up space in your spirit. Call them out. Rebuke them. Replace them with truth. When the enemy says, "You're not enough," you say, "I am fearfully and wonderfully made." When he says, "You'll always be stuck," declare, "He who began a good work in me will be faithful to complete it." Speak the word, not because it sounds spiritual, but because it is a sword, and this is war. You're not losing your mind. You're under attack. But once you recognize the strategy, you can fight back with strategy. Guard your thoughts like your life depends on it. because your faith does.